Congratulations to all of you friends on the new year of 2024. May all your dreams come true. It seems that I am one of the few who still believe in true love that knows no boundaries and can withstand any trials. I truly believed I had that kind of love until I faced betrayal. Perhaps I didn't want to see the obvious or was victimized by a conniving woman, but let's get to the point. I grew up in a small village in a poor and large family. My parents were simple laborers who honestly worked hard to give us a decent upbringing and education. At an early age, I left the village, moved to the city, and began to study while working part-time. After graduation, I got a job in my specialty and worked for other people for a while. Then I saved enough money and founded my own small business. Years went by, the business flourished, and I quickly achieved financial success. I earned my own apartment, bought a nice car, and started living the high life. In one of the restaurants, I met my future wife, who conquered me with her beauty, kindness, and charm. We quickly fell in love with each other, and a few months later we got married. The wedding was gorgeous, and my wife and I started traveling often, visiting restaurants and dressing expensively and tastefully. It seemed to me that more beautiful, nicer, and kinder than my wife there is no one in the world. I endlessly thanked fate for the fact that such a love fell to my share. However, the fairy tale could not last forever. As a result of despicable betrayal of my companions, my business began to quickly collapse, and I lost all my savings. As I became rich and successful, I became less vigilant and more gullible, which allowed the scammers to cheat me and take all my money. I have since learned to be more cautious and suspicious, especially in financial matters. Despite the loss of my business, I didn't give up and quickly found a new job. However, our old life was no longer enough, and we could barely make ends meet. As it happens, women quickly get used to a lot of money, and when it happens that you fall into debt, your other half begins to treat you worse. Although my wife didn't show it at first, she was a horrible, mean bitch who was willing to give up for shiny toys. When my wife learned of our family's financial difficulties, she decided to support me and find a job. I was encouraged by her willingness to help, but at the same time, I was concerned that she might not be able to cope or that her job would interfere with our relationship. However, she quickly found a job with a pretty decent salary, and we were able to afford to get out to a coffee shop once a week. I tried to rebuild my old business, but things were moving very slowly at the time. One day, my wife brought home a beautiful bouquet of flowers, saying that they had been given to her by male colleagues at work. I was happy that she received such a token of attention, but at the same time, worried that they were not gifts for pretty eyes. Perhaps she had done some kind of favor. Those were the thoughts that popped into my head. A few weeks later, she came home not only with groceries, but also with a package from an expensive women's clothing store. I knew I had often spoiled her with such purchases before, but we couldn't afford it now. I tried to gently object by saying that we had a closet full of clothes, but she replied that it was a gift from her boss who had given all the female employees shopping certificates. From then on, my wife started coming home with new bracelets, bouquets, and other gifts. I realized it all cost money and was worried that we couldn't pay the bills and buy groceries, and here were expensive gifts. I tried to talk to her about it, but she assured me that it didn't cost her anything and that it was just tokens of attention from coworkers and clients. I began to notice that my wife became more aloof and cold. She spent a lot of time at work and often came home late. I began to suspect that she was seeing another man. My suspicions were confirmed when I found correspondence with her lover in her phone. In the correspondence, she sent him intimate photos taken just a few hours ago. It made me very angry, and I almost hit her, but held back. I kicked her out of the house with one suitcase. She begged me to forgive her, but I was already indifferent to her. After seeing the correspondence and that lewd dialogue with her lover behind my back, she has no forgiveness. Though deep down, I still love that bitch. It took me a long time to recover from the divorce. I was hurt and lonely. I didn't know how to move on. But as time went on, I began to realize that life goes on and that I needed to move on. I found a new job, made new friends, and started spending more time with myself. Now I live alone, but I am not alone. I have friends who support me, and I do what I love to do. I realize that happiness does not depend on whether you have someone around you or not. Happiness is a state of mind, and it is always with you if you know how to find it.